All right, let's do it. Welcome to Cut to the Chase podcast, guys. It is another episode. Again, I appreciate every listener for tuning in. We are here for a very, very cool episode. I always like to bring on people who I feel that are funny first, interesting second, and thirdly, whoever's available, to be quite honest with you. No, I'm just messing around. This is a Cut to the Chase episode podcast. Again, guys, please go ahead and subscribe, rate, and share. We always appreciate that. I'm not going to wait any longer. I have a very, very funny comedian and that I wanted to bring on the podcast for a while. I actually saw her not too long ago doing a set at a comedy show at a Capo Comedy in South Boston. I want to say probably about maybe a few months ago, Ivana.
I'd say December, maybe.
December-ish. Oh, it was that long? Wow, yeah. So, and I said to myself, and I said, I was watching the set, and I was like, okay, I don't know what she's saying, but I like what she's saying. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was like the energy. You know what I'm saying? It was like the voice. It was like the personality. It was like, oh, I was like, she's funny. You know, I was like, she seems like she would have like a great conversation on a podcast. And I was like, I got to get on the podcast. And so I'd like to kind of introduce you, Ivana Bonetti.
Yep, Bonetti.
Hey. Hey.
Well, you hear this voice, you know it's a very sexy accent, I hate to tell you.
Hey, will you talk? Listen, this is going to be a fun podcast. All my followers know that I have a very, very high appreciation for Italian people. You know what I mean? And if I wasn't like, you know, African or whatever or something else, I would definitely be like Italian. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because I feel like Italian people kind of have like similar, they're just like very open, very like loving and very like caring. And I was like, yeah, I gotta have Ivana, you know? So, I don't even know where to start. First, I would like to say thank you for coming on the podcast.
Oh, I'm happy to be here.
Yeah. And, first, I'd like to say, how did you even start of thinking being a comedian?
Truthfully,
yeah,
this is a very long story, but
we only have an hour, so keep it short. You know what I'm saying? I'm paying for the studio time. No. I'm just kidding.
That's the very beginning.
Yeah.
Very good place to start.
Yeah.
So I was actually on a pre-med track, if you could believe it, and I was thinking of applying to med school, but I was at a crossroads where I kind of was figuring out that wasn't exactly what I wanted to do. And my father, who I'm very close with my family, who I live with, and by family I mean the entire extended family.
I know your mother's here right now, right next to me.
Here.
She's like, "Hey, watch your mouth. Don't say anything. Watch what you say about my daughter." Okay. I feel the energy, you know. She's fine, Mom.
She's nothing. Wait till you meet my grandmother.
It's always the grandmothers, right?
Always the grandma. Well, that's the Sicilian side.
God, I'm going to love this podcast. I swear to God. I love this shit. I'm sorry, but not to cut you off. Yeah, so you said you were on a pre-med track?
Yeah, I was on a pre-med track, and my father, he knows me very well because I've worked with him in small construction projects, even though I'm like 4'9" and this big. Oh. But he knows me so well, he said, you know, you're very funny, you should do comedy. And I was like, I'm not going to do it. And then I did it. I signed up for a class, and I loved it, and then I kept doing it, and then I fell into open mics, and it just kept snowballing into this. But I didn't tell the rest of my family because I was like, I wanted to kind of become good at it first. I wanted to see if I would be good at something like this.
Sure.
But I live with my entire family within one block of the North End.
Really?
Yeah.
See, this is what I kind of do know, but I don't know about the North End. It's like, I feel like I already know that, but to hear it from someone who actually lives there, and it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't really know anyone that actually, like, I grew up with Italian people all my life, you know what I mean? Like, my grandma spoke fluent Italian, and people don't know that. You know what I mean? Wow. Like, I'm from Eritrea. So just to give you a back history where I'm from Eritrea, Northeast Africa. So Italy colonized us. So we had a lot of influences from Italian culture. So I have family that speak fluent Italian.
So you're basically Paisan.
Hey! Of course I am.
I knew you could be my cousin. I knew it.
You know what I'm saying? I just left out in the sun a little too long. You know what I mean? I don't know why I'm talking like that. There's that thing with Italians. They get you in talking like them, and I love it.
But we have the same nose. Look at us. You could be my cousin.
Holy shit.
Do you not see this? Am I blind?
We have the same...
We have the same nose.
Who would have thunk it?
Paisan.
This
is why I brought my mother. It's a family reunion, really.
5 minutes in, we're already friggin' related.
Well, we're family.
We're family. Yeah. That's what it is with the Italian. Yeah, it's like, yeah, I like that. But, you know, obviously with the history of the North End, and for the listeners who listen to the podcast, the North End of Boston, for people who don't know, is a very heavily populated of Italian people. And you can also fill me on a little bit of the history. I'm just kind of maybe paraphrasing a little bit. So it's like when the original like Italians from Italy came over to Boston, and that's where like they just settled and made their own communities, and it's been like that ever since, pretty much. It's
like it's a different neighborhood than the one I grew up in, but definitely we have a lot of like old timer North Enders who were like originally from there, including my family. So my father's an immigrant from Italy, but my mother's side, she was born there. My grandmother was born there. My great grandmother immigrated there from Sicily, and we just kind of stayed close. We stayed very connected to our roots, and in no sense, this is going to sound crazy, but I have a blood family and I have a North End family because my neighborhood, I'm very close with my neighbors and friends who are almost like family to me. I walk down the street, I say hi to 20 people, and I call people cousin who are not directly related to me, but we're very close. We grew up together in the neighborhood, and you know, we have this like sort of bond.
Community neighborhood is neighborhood. Like having a neighborhood and sharing that neighborhood within your community is very important, you know, and obviously it's very transparent in North End. That's what it is, and it's also like that in other neighborhoods as well, right? You live with your neighbor, you help each other out.
Exactly, you live with your neighbor, you get to know them. We knew, like I could walk down any street and tell you who lives in what building and their whole family.
Can that be a little bit of a? I mean, that's good, but can that be a little bit of a problem? Because if you want to like, sneak out and get like a, have a little fun. And, because you got someone like, hey, Ivana, where you going? I'm going to tell your mother. Was that like ever like, where everyone's like, oh, was it more because it's like, no, they got my back? It's like one of those situations.
No, they always got my back. I have a lot of like good friends who are like family who always have my back.
Yeah, that's great. I'm definitely a lot older than you. I'm not gonna say how long. I'm not gonna mention the number, but I remember. Yeah, you're right. You said a really good point that the North End that I remember is not like the kind of like the North End that's now in a way. I grew up here. I came in the '80s. So I remember the North End, and even probably mom could like attest. Like it was very different.
That was her era.
Yeah, it was her era, right? It was very like. So what would you say if you could like define it? What's the main differences between the old North End and kind of like the North End now?
Well, I got like almost the tail end of the old North End, so to speak, and like they weren't as like I grew up. Some people didn't lock their doors; you could just walk in.
Yeah.
And you just knew everybody down the street, and like we still had places like there was this like store called Sheldon's. That's where I got my uniform pants for like Catholic school.
Okay.
And there aren't places like that.
Did you go to school also in the North End too?
I did, St. John's.
So you basically just like for all your like beginning years was like there.
Yep.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Except for high school, I went to Arlington Catholic.
Oh, you went to AC?
Yep.
Okay.
A little bit outside the North End.
Yeah, a little outside, but not too
Still Catholic school.
Right. Well, listen. I'm all for it. A little bit of school, a little bit of Jesus. Hey, it's the best thing. Why am I talking? This is the thing. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to hold back. You know what it is? I love Italian people because primarily one of the main things I love about is the goddamn honesty. You guys don't play around. You don't fuck around. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like, you know, especially like, you know, anyone that comes into the family, it's like, hey, who's this? Come here. No, who's this? Come here. Who's this? What are you taking my daughter? What? No, it's like that. You know what I mean? It's like I like that.
Oh, it's so funny you mentioned that, because when I first got into comedy, I actually did not tell. Like, I told my immediate family, my parents, siblings.
Right.
I didn't tell my grandmother. She was my act. She was my first act I ever said at Capo that night when I met you.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. And I told everyone, of course she knows. She helped me write it. That wasn't true.
It wasn't true.
I used to sneak out of the house at night, and everyone used to cover for me. And she thought I had a boyfriend that used to just keep me out very late at night. So she calls my sister one day, and she goes, Elena, I know she's seeing someone. I want a name, I want an age, I want his height, I want his social. And I'm like, so she goes, Ivana, you're in deep trouble. And I was like, all right, I either got to tell her the truth or like I lie. So I told her his
Not many
name.
options there, Ivana. I like how you presented as if you had a lot of options there. It's like, I either tell the truth or I lie. There was like no middle option. There's usually like 3 options that people would give you. You were like this, I only have 2. Like,
Oh, no, there were only 2 options. She was going to find out one way or another.
Right.
So I told her his name was Marco.
Marco.
Yeah, that was completely fabricated. that was code word for comedy.
Oh.
That was like, oh, I'm gonna go see Marco you don't know Marco from down the street,
down the
from
street,
the
right?
Place.
And she's probably like, oh yeah, he comes from a good family, of course, go. And it's
For
like,
some reason, she was just concerned at how tall he was, because I'm 4'9", and she was very afraid he was gonna tower over me.
well, I mean, unfortunately, that's gonna be most people are gonna be taller than you.
Listen, I got heels.
Hey.
My scapitels.
Raise it up a little bit. Potatoes, you know. That's funny. One of my favorite movies of all time, and I'm pretty sure that this is not probably new news to you, is The Bronx Tale.
I love The Bronx Tale.
And The Bronx Tale is one of those movies that, I mean, listen, let's all, Italian, back in the day movies, like Goodfellas, Casino, everyone's like always attracted to like the cinema, of the Italian culture, that's just what it is. But the one thing about The Bronx Tale that was interesting to me was like, because of the storyline. You know what I mean? And that's what I was like, oh, this is a pretty dope story. Chaz Palminteri, who wrote it, actually wrote it, didn't direct it. Robert De Niro directed it. And it was basically a story about his life and how he's growing up in the Bronx as an Italian young man back in like the 60s, which it probably was way more different than what it was now, I'm sure, right? So, and then ever since then, I was like, oh, it was just so interesting to me how, first of all, Italian food, forget about it. Forget about it. What's your favorite Italian food?
So personally, I like anything my mother cooks, and I'm not just saying that because she's sitting there. She's a very good cook, but I like Sunday dinner mostly. Whatever she makes for Sunday dinner with the veal bresaola,
Of course.
and a Sunday sauce.
Talk to me nice. Let's
Oh,
go.
it's smooth too. Wait a minute.
Let's go. I'm ready.
And she makes like any kind of pasta, either spaghetti, she'll make ravioli. Whatever she's feeling that day for pasta, that's what we're having.
Ugh.
And she plays a Jimmy Roselli record, which is like really old school.
Jimmy Roselli. Just the name of
Jimmy
that.
Roselli.
Fucking Roselli. Just the name of it. All the names. Roselli. Capucho, Sinatra. Oh, I love some Sinatra. I'm old
me
school.
too.
Sinatra.
Oh, I'm older, trust me.
But I feel like you have. Is this fair to say? Do you have an old soul?
Yes.
Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Yeah. Is that comes from like the culture or just how, just generally how you are?
I don't know if that's a cultural thing or just how I was raised, because I grew up, honestly, my house is that's why for my comedy, I like to embody that old school, stereotypical Italian house, because that's how I grew up. My mother had me watching The Three Stooges, The Nanny. Like, I grew up with shows as old as Happy Days,
I love your mom.
And
Because those are good shows.
But she also raised us, like I said, across the street with my grandmother, and in that same building, my cousins, my aunts, great aunts.
You're right.
I grew up around my family, just, oh, you need something, go down the street and go get it from your grandmother.
Yeah.
So that kind of shaped my personality. So I became an old soul.
You became an old soul through the vessel of your mom.
Exactly, and through my grandmother. And, the things that I was around when I was a kid were I watched black and white movies. I watched Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers with my mother. Mario Lanza.
Oh, wow. You don't see a lot of people your age that kind of understand and like remember those types of movies, Those are really specific movies in a time where things were really great.
Yeah. Well, that's why I have modern stuff to me, but in my core is I'm an old soul.
Yeah. That's good, man. Yeah, I guess maybe that was why I was like, okay, she's a little different from other comedians that start out, I should say. You know what I mean? Because if you've been doing comedy for as long as I have, I've been lucky to whatever. I've done some cool things, and I've traveled the country doing comedy, and you meet a lot of people. Just comedy is a moving art form. Stand-up comedy is a moving art form. If you're not able to kind of be able to move around, you're not gonna be able to get any type of perspective. So you you have to move around, right? And I'm like, yo, this is so when you saw us on stage, I was like, oh, she's definitely gonna I don't know what it is. She's gonna be on TV. Something's gonna happen. So so is stand up like primarily like your thing? Do you ever thought about like getting into acting, like commercials or like cinema stuff, or are you just taking like one thing at a time pretty much?
So far I've been taking like one step at a time, because truthfully I never thought I'd get this far with it. It started out as a hobby, and then it grew into people reaching out to me saying, hey, I'd like to book you, or hey, I'd like you on my stage, and now it's just kind of become my thing.
Sure.
I'd love to get into acting. When I was little, I used to love acting. I was like a theater kid.
Oh, yeah, because I could definitely see you. I mean, obviously, you can do. I can see you doing a lot of things, but man, like I was always, first thing I'm gonna be honest with you, I was like, oh, I want to write a script, like a character for her, because I'm like, she's got the perfect type
I'll
of thing.
audition for it. Where's the script? Let's go. Where we going?
What would be your if you had your choice? What would be kind of your ideal role?
All right, I'm gonna be like a white girl with this one thing.
I mean,
it's
pretty transparent.
Wow.
I mean, it's not like the way you set it up was like it's not very surprising. You're like, I'm gonna be like a white girl. I'm like, well, it's kind of.
Oh yeah, that's right. I looked out. I was like, wait a minute. Yes. Pumpkin time, bitch. Pumpkin time.
No, but did you ever I'm sorry. Did you ever think about like a role like you? I feel like every kind of performer, or like if you're a kid, you're always like, man, if I ever was like on TV, I'd do this. Or,
I got a role.
Yeah, what is it?
So have you ever seen the movie Funny Girl with Barbra Streisand?
I don't believe I have, and I'm kind of embarrassed that I'm saying that. What is that about?
It's about Fanny Bryce in the turn of the century, how she became this famous Ziegfeld Folly girl, and it's a very old, not very old.
Yeah, older picture.
Yeah, older movie.
Right. And
when I was younger, there was this scene where she's dancing in roller skates and fruit on her head.
Okay.
I did that for a talent show, and my mother had to take away the skates because I was going to break my neck because I didn't know how to roller skate. But if there was a role ever in my life, there's that, or if they did a reboot of The Nanny. Fran
Drescher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you get that? Do you get that kind of comparisons a little bit like that? Do people come up to you and say like that?
Depends on the generation.
Yeah, because that was like a 90s sitcom, if I'm not mistaken, right?
If you're from a certain generation, they tell me I'm a lot like Fran Drescher. But if you're from another generation, they call me Snooki.
Oh.
That's my reaction.
I don't know about that.
Thank you.
I don't know if I like that.
I heard I never.
You're a little bit more classier than Snooki.
Why, thank you.
Yeah. And more talented, to be quite honest with you.
Mommy, we're taking my cousin home.
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, I don't know the woman. Okay, you know what? I'm fired up for this podcast. You know what I mean? I'm just about to get. You know what? Sometimes I lead in. I try to be cool. I try to warm up. You know what? I got Ivana here. We're getting straight to it. Okay, Snooki Italian. Snooki Italians versus the Italians. Okay.
Listen, I never even watched Jersey Shore.
Give it to me straight. What's Fan, not a fan, liked it, or never? What's going on?
So I never watched it, and when I first heard of it, my friends were like, "Oh, you remind me of Snooki," and I was like, "Who's this Cookie? Like, what is going on?" Then I watched like a clip of it, and I'm like, "No, I'm not watching this show. I ain't watching none of this. I wash my hands of this."
Because
it's not me. That's not. To me, that's not how I was raised, and I
don't see. I mean,
I
don't.
I don't carry myself that way. At least I don't think so.
I mean, from what I've seen, I don't know.
Yeah, even my ex, they're pretty clean for the most part. Even though I talk about my grandmother doing edibles.
Sure.
So,
right.
She's a whole thing.
She's grandma doing edibles.
Yeah. Listen, these things are legit. She took the plastic off the couch.
Yo. You got the plastic on the couch?
My ass was screaming when I sat on it.
Every time I used to sit on plastic couches at my friend's house, because I'd be like hot, my ass would stick to the plastic.
Oh, it'd take me a good 20 minutes to get up.
I would have to roll. Like I gotta warm up. I got each sticky thing. I gotta rock back and forth because like the moisture from my ass was sweaty because I had swamp ass. Ugh.
But see, I'm not athletic. It took me a good 20 minutes to get off the couch and another 40 minutes to say goodbye to all the family members in the house because we don't believe in like walking out of the house. We gotta say goodbye and make it known we're leaving.
I mean, I don't want to start any beef, but there's no such thing as Irish goodbyes, right? And I didn't
want to say it, but since you opened the door, you started this.
No Irish goodbyes in an Italian family. Hey, Johnny, where you going? You know, why am I'm sorry, is that like, I love talking like I don't know what it is. It just comes out, you know?
It's the sexy accent.
Oh, well, listen. I'm going to start listening. I noticed one of the things too about one of my first introductions to like the Italian culture is when I was a kid. And I had an Uncle Vinny, and he's Italian. And he was Italian, and he married a family member of mine, and she was Eritrean. So he kind of like introduced us to like the Italian like culture. I mean, we always were familiar with like Italian culture just because like Eritrea and the relationship between like Sicily and like, because if Sicily's like right up, like obviously I'm like, yeah, Sicily's, she knows where Sicily is. I'm trying to tell her where Sicily. So
yeah,
Sicily's
the little thing attached to the boot.
Yeah, so if you just go straight down, that's where Eritrea is. The next country is Eritrea. So like back in, so during trading, Africa, like trade, all that stuff, So, but I remember Vinny, he was so like, oh my God, he was one of the most interesting individuals I've ever met because we knew him as Vinny, and he would come, right? And he would have like his Italian, I used to wear the Italian, the cross, but and I don't want to, it was the, why am I? It's not the pepper, the horn? The horn.
Yeah,
I have a necklace.
One.
I have a necklace.
I was gonna wear mine, but I'm wearing St. Anthony, and that's for a specific reason, actually.
Yeah. So we used to we wore that, and and he'd just be so cool. He'd come in, he'd just be chilling, and people would talk to him. Some people wouldn't, but he'd be so confident in his skin. He'd be like, "Oh, the African food. Give me more of that. Give me more of that." He just would be so open. It was just like, and we just call him, Vinny. He would just call him, Uncle Vinny. It was just like dope. And then from there, it was just like, all right, it just this culture makes so much sense. Even though I'm not Italian, just like I feel like I belong. That's the kind of like every single like Italian friend I had, they always felt like I belonged.
Yeah, you belong.
You know what I mean? Like I felt like it was inviting, like it's just loving, and we got your back, and like that's the experiences I generally had.
Well,
I've had some other experiences too. It wasn't all great, but I mean, but for the most part, it's been like always pretty cool. You know what I mean? Well,
that's like the kind of like environment I grew up in. Like I'm part of these. I don't know if you've probably ever heard of them. You're gonna think I'm nuts and throw me out of this room, but in the North End, every weekend in August, we have this tradition that was brought back. So I'm only a quarter Sicilian. The rest of me is Villanese, which is a small little mountain town just off of Naples. And from those towns, the immigrants brought a tradition with them that in the North End we do every weekend in August.
What's that?
And that is we take like an 8-foot statue and we march it around the neighborhood to a band, and we collect money to be donated later.
Oh.
And so like we have the first weekend coming up. I'm part of this society called St. Agrippina's Society, and she's the saint of Mineo, Sicily. So that's my Sicilian side.
Sicilian side, right.
Yep. We take this statue. She's 1 ton, and the society I joined with St. Agrippina's is very. I mean, we're family. I could truly say we're family. And another society I'm part of is St. Anthony's, and that one's probably more well known.
I've heard more. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the last weekend in August, and they're also. I mean, I actually grew up on the street where it happened.
St. Anthony Feast.
Yep.
Is that? Am I right on that?
St. Anthony's Feast.
Okay. Yeah.
And we take a statue of St. Anthony. The society there's also like family. My grandfather was a member. My mother's a member. My brother's a member. I'm a member. So is my sister. It's like a. Yeah. It really is a family affair.
I mean, I'm not gonna, full disclosure, I've done pretty well in the Italian culture. You know what I'm saying? Some of the ladies have been. We've been kind of cool. So, I mean, I'm not gonna get into specifics, but hey,
well, I
know a couple gals.
Well, I got a cousin.
That's the other thing about Italian families. They hook you up.
Oh yeah.
They hook you up. If you're. Yeah. What about the producer?
Listen,
Just about to quit filming right now. He's like,
my other two cousins are married. You're out of luck. I already offered him the one.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's that's what it is. Hey, you want a girl? Hey, what do you get your act together? Make sure you're good, right? That's the thing. You gotta. But there's a checklist, right?
Oh, there's
a checklist, right? There's a checklist with Italian, especially in Italian families. The guy, I don't know if it is for so much a female. I would say for females too. Is it the same? With like, let's say if I'm gonna, let's say if you have a guy in mind and you want to introduce them to your family. There's like a certain check. Is there like a certain process they got?
Where do I begin? Hold up. And I'm not saying this in front of my mother. She gave me the rundown of the checklist this morning. Wait a minute.
Every day they remind you, right?
Every day she wants grandkids, so that's the whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's a big thing.
Don't get me started on that. And then I can see her eyes rolling now. Julie, you gotta wait. But she has a whole checklist. He doesn't have to be Italian in my family. He does not have to be.
Say what? Really?
Don't get that excited.
No, I'm not excited. I did get kind of excited, right? I'm just like, hey.
Except with my nonna, she had a thing that not only did he have to be Italian, but she was region specific.
Of course.
She goes, nobody north of Rome. You're not going to like them.
That's great. That's what's actually,
She goes, and you could do south, but not too south. We got a radius.
That's interesting. Yeah. It's very like intact with that. Yeah. It's like, hey, stay. That's why I like to have you on, because I was like, I want to get a little bit more like informed about that. Like how you guys.
Oh, this checklist.
Yeah.
But my mother, she's kind of chill. She's like, bring home any guy with a pulse who could give me grandkids, and I'm happy.
No, that's not true. I know what you mean, though.
Yeah, she's very chill. No, she's actually my mother's very warm and welcoming. She's very silly. That's where I get my personality.
How was your mom with past relationships? Is she like she's a strict mom? Is she kind of a cool mom? Like what type of mom she is?
I'm stricter on myself than she is. She's the one. Go out, have fun.
That's good.
She's like, oh.
Was she when you told her you wanted to be a comedian? How was that received?
She was thrilled.
That's awesome.
I actually was like, I was more hesitant on it because at the time I had a very low self-esteem.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't tell anybody. I was almost afraid to put myself out there that much. So I had to do it kind of in steps for me. And my mother and my father too, they were both like, you're funny. And I know you could do it, and I know you want to do it, so you got to do it.
You got to do it.
And my mother was like, I even told her, I'll Uber somewhere, I'll do this. She goes, no, I'll drive you wherever you need to go. If you want to do something, I'll help. She was very supportive. I always kind of had that support. And even like when I posted my first video and my whole neighborhood kind of found out I did comedy, I got a lot of support from my neighborhood too, because like I said, we're all one big family.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I mean that's.
And I'm very touched. I'm very honored that people really like what I have to say.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because when you first start out doing like something that you're not really sure about, so it's weird because as a stand-up comic, it's tough. It's a tough road. I don't know the experience for you so far it's been, but like generally it's a tough road, for a lot of comedians. And for me, it's not so much about like just getting on stage to do the thing that you like to do. It's really more of kind of handling who's in your corner or not, really. Because sometimes, like, you would think, like, certain people are, like, supporting you, and then they really don't. Like, I mean, I have family members that still haven't came to a show. You know? My mom still hasn't come to a show. My dad still hasn't come to a show. It's been 10 years. You know what I'm saying?
See, my parents were, like, so eager to come to a show.
That's great.
They actually came to a show I did Thursday.
That's awesome.
And my grandmother comes, too, but because she's in my act, and I say she does edibles, when she asks, she goes, tell people I'm not related to you.
Yeah.
She goes, I'm not the grandmother that you talked about. So I was like, okay. But she's there. She turns off her hearing aid, but she's there. She's like, oh, my grandkid's coming on, let me turn it off.
Can I be honest with you?
Sure.
Does your mom got room for another son? Because I'm ready to upset. You know.
Listen,
I'm a good cleaner. I clean. I won't complain, Mom.
Wow. Mommy, he cleans.
Oh, my mom. Listen, I kind of grew up kind of like you did. You know? I mean, I immigrated here from East Africa, so we were refugees. So a little different. But we're all immigrants from anywhere. I mean, everyone's immigrants from everywhere. So, but I remember my mom, when we first came here, my mom, you know, she didn't really, the only thing that she was able to do when she first came here was clean houses. You know, like people, like very wealthy people's houses, like in Marblehead and like in these like areas, Nahant and stuff. So she would take me when I was like 6, 7, 8 years old and like teach me how to clean and help her. So ever since then, she taught me how to like have responsibility, make sure things are done a certain way. Like, I mean, my mom's like, hey, listen, you missed the dust on that table right now. she would yell at me, hit my hand, and be like, this is how you do it. First of all, she'd clean it, make it more messy to show me how to clean it, and then clean it again. I'm like, Mom, it's clean. She's like, no, it's not. Like, she was so like, I think I got a lot of like, cleaning OCD from my mom because it's like everything needs to be order. You know, so
yeah,
it taught me principles, you know, certain things.
That's what I got from my grandmother. She loves things clean, and I always used to like after school, like I never did a summer camp thing. I never did like a. Me either. I was always like attached to the hippie. My grandmother, my nonna, my father, my mother.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
She teach me how to bake, but after we'd bake or cook or whatever, she's like, all right, now you got to clean the mess. But there was a certain way she had to clean it. It was her way.
It was her way. My mom too.
Way. It could be clean. Like, I'll get the germ light. There's nothing there.
Right.
But it's not clean unless I did it her way.
That's what my mom was too.
And even I worked when my father and my grandparents immigrated here, my grandfather did masonry work because that's all he knew how to do. He had like probably a third grader's education. He didn't go beyond that.
Yeah.
So to this day, my grandfather taught me how to lay brick and work in construction. Like, I could change a boiler for you if you want. But I
don't know how to do that.
Well, I have to do it his way or no way.
What the fuck is a boiler? I don't even know what that is. Where's the logo? I don't know. Like what? Like is that what?
When
what
you keep warm in the winter, that's why.
Heat. Oh God,
you get water. There you go.
Space heaters, girl.
Space heaters. Wait a minute. I'm leaving. Let me get out of here, Ma. We're going.
I know. Like, yeah, what's up, millennial? I mean, like a guy. I mean, like, hey, Mom, bringing a guy. He doesn't even know how to fix a boiler.
Never mind. We're leaving.
I can't bring a guy home who use space heaters.
Yeah, but my nonna has a certain way of doing it. So if I try to lay it one way, he go, no, you're fired. Get out. And I'm like, I'm your family. Good luck firing me.
That's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that we learn a lot of the things that we actually are. Like, we eventually, as we get older, we're like, oh, we do have a lot of our parents' like sensibilities to a degree, right? Like what they taught us, the basic principles, that like kind of sticks with us, right? I would like to ask you this though. Like, Boston obviously is like a great place for stand-up comedy, right? It's a great place to start, in my opinion. I mean, I started here. A lot of places you can get up and like to get a lot of stage time, and you can do a lot of shows. Do you see yourself like ever kind of moving and like kind of seeing like your career? I guess like I know you said like you started doing it as a hobby, and obviously you're just starting.
And now it's kind of more a career thing.
Yeah.
Like,
do you has it crossed into the thinking of, oh, maybe I can actually do this for real, and like if I do this for real, where do I like what's the thing? You know?
I mean, if I had to move, it would be.
I know
hard.
you talked about your family because that's why I want to ask. Yeah,
it would be very hard.
Yeah.
If I had to move, I probably would do it.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'd be a permanent thing, but or either that or I'm going to take the whole North End with me. But because I'm very attached.
That's a lot of rent.
Yeah. We're pooling it.
That's a lot of rent, girl.
Pooling the money. Everybody got to work.
Everyone's got to work.
Everybody.
Yes, everyone's got to put in their weight.
But I have ventured beyond Boston for comedy before.
Yeah.
I've done Miami, Rhode Island.
Yeah.
Brooklyn was actually one of my favorite places to visit.
Brooklyn will love you.
I loved Brooklyn.
Yeah, Brooklyn. Yeah. Brooklyn.
And they heard my accent. They go, "Are you from here?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sorta."
Yeah.
And they're like, "Oh, you're a New York comic?" I go, "No, sorta like as in Boston."
Right. Adjacent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, paisan.
Yeah, it's weird because comedy in this business, it's very interesting because you never know where you can go. Your reach, you never know, especially with social media now. You know, you can get a lot of opportunities by just being yourself and just doing like a set, and someone's like, "Oh, she's good," and would you want to do this and just this? And you're like, "Oh." It's like, I always feel like the best stand-up comedians are the ones who are available.
There you go. And I'm always, because I'm like still kind of young in the business, I'm like, whenever I get a call to do something, okay, I'll do it. I'm there. Let's go.
Yeah.
Wherever I gotta go.
Yeah. And it's also, you're doing something that's very, we do stuff, it's fun. I hope it's fun for you.
Oh, I'm having a ball.
Are you having fun?
And I met a lot of nice people, too.
Yeah.
That's another thing. I like meeting new people. I like meeting audience members when they tell me that they really enjoyed my set.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you have a very likable person. You're likable. Your personality is good. I don't think there's anything like you're pretty transparent.
Pretty much. What you see is what you get.
There's no like, hey, oh, what is she? You're pretty. It's pretty transparent.
This is very. What you see is what you get. I'm not a complicated person.
Right. Which is great because, in my opinion, in a very, very complicated business, that's gonna hold you like ground. You know what I mean? Oh. Especially like, cause like I'm telling you for real. Like I'm like, this game is like it's a fucked up business. You know what I mean? And the fact that you have morals and values and a family and a strong support system, that is going to keep you going, in my opinion. I mean, who the fuck is me? You know what I mean? I'm just a paisan over here. But I'm just saying, it's there's more to this, in my opinion, than just getting on stage and telling jokes, in my opinion. For a lot of comedians, that's what it is. I just like to go do my jokes, get off stage, and go home. For me, it's like that's not it. For me, it's like, oh, what type of experience am I giving to the audience? Maybe I'm meeting like really cool people I've never had the opportunity to meet ever in my life. Like doing a show in Idaho. Like it's like what chance do I ever have a chance to go to Idaho and do a show? Like no one goes up. I mean, sorry to Idaho. I probably have some Idaho, but no one's being like, I'm not going up and waking up like, oh, I'm going to Idaho next week and I'm planning a trip. You know what I mean?
Well, that was one thing I learned with comedy is like, okay, I went to Mohegan Sun for the first time in my life, and I probably never would have gone there had it not been for comedy.
What'd you play? Comics?
Yep.
How was that?
Oh, I had a ball, and I actually did bring my mother, my aunt, and my grandmother, because like I said, I'm actually really touched at the support I have.
That's good.
The huge support system I have. That's been like my rock. But like I got to go see Mohegan Sun. I got to go see Brooklyn for the first time. Even though everyone tells me I sound like I'm from Brooklyn, I've never actually been until like comedy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I've been to New York. I've been to Mulberry Street. I've never been to Brooklyn.
Okay.
Until comedy.
Wow. That must have been like... I don't know. Every time I do a comedy in a place I've never been, it's kind of nostalgic a little bit. Because
it is.
You're just like, oh, I've heard of this place. I always wanted to go here. I could have gone here, but I didn't fucking go there.
It's right there. It's 4 hours away.
Yeah, 4 hours away. I mean, God forbid. I mean, we live in like Boston, so everything is kind of like, Boston has like everyone's from a town, and usually we're like townies, right? Like you stay in your area. There's people that never go like 20 minutes away and hang out. Forget about 4 hours away, right? But that's why I always feel like traveling is always great.
That's one thing I definitely do. So one thing you should also know about me: my father's a pilot. I travel.
Your father's a pilot?
Yeah, for United.
Wait, hold on. He
like a captain.
Like
the guy you hear
like
on
Tom Hanks, like flew down like that type, like he's like up in the air.
There's been times where it's been like a Tom Hanks movie. I remember. So I was very little, but he flew behind Flight 93 at 9/11.
I could tell your dad's fucking handsome.
Isn't he though?
I don't even know him.
Look at this face. I got it from somewhere. No offense, Julie.
I could tell. Like he has like that. I could tell he's an Italian pilot.
Well, he's got my mother.
Oh.
She is a prize here. Look at her.
I bet he's wearing creased pants right now. I feel it.
Oh my God! How do you know?
He's my father now.
But
we're family. What are you talking about?
He doesn't have the gel in his hair. My brother does.
Who are you talking about?
No, you should see. We got to buy you. The pandemic really hit my brother hard. He had to put 2 cans of Crisco in his hair.
Ooh.
We had no gel because no one was shipping nothing.
Oh, shit.
It was hard. And his hair kept growing. We needed more Crisco. People thought we had bacon for a hobby. No, this was for my brother's hair.
The fact that you said Crisco, I haven't heard the word Crisco in fucking 25 years.
Well, we are a little modern now because we found this like spray-on olive oil for his hair. Now we've moved on. But he got to be careful in the sun. He's going to bake. Put some cookie dough on his head.
God, I love your family. I don't even know them. Put an olive oil in your hair, Crisco on your skin.
Wait, but we're brand specific. Filippo Barrio.
Oh. I gotta write this down.
Well, we don't use the cheap stuff.
No, you never use cheap. No.
Yeah, what do you think this is? We don't use that cheap off-brand olive oil. That's not even extra virgin, please.
Ooh, now we're talking.
Listen, I don't want to call anybody out, but I am a Filippo Barrio kind of girl. There's a thing.
So if I was to make, let's say, what olive oil if I use if I'm making like a nice pasta, with a nice,
Depends. Whoa. Depends on the pasta. Depends. She's looking at me because I don't extra virgin. She's looking at me because. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, let's say
just so you know, I don't cook. If she's not cooking, my grandmother is. If my grandmother's not, my aunt is. And if my aunt isn't, my great aunt is. So I don't have to cook.
Ooh.
Someone's cooking something.
But hey, I'm gonna put you on a little hot seat for a second.
Boy.
Listen, but can you cook?
Yes, I can. Don't laugh, you. Just I felt the eye roll. My grandmother's gonna listen to it. This fucking kid.
That's why I want you to. I just want you to own it so they can listen.
Wait. Yeah. I can make eggplant palm.
Eggplant palm. Okay.
And I can boil the pasta without burning the pan this time. That happened once.
All right.
I bake.
And you you are a baker.
Yes, I bake pizzalis for Christmas, cannolis, ricotta pie.
Fucking. Ugh. I just gained 10 pounds already in this podcast. I haven't ate nothing.
I know. It's amazing I fit in this skirt.
It means I fit in the skirt.
You look good in a skirt.
Hey,
I see it.
Hey, but
well, the floral pattern goes with your eyes.
Listen. I like to, if I was a woman, I'm sure I'd be light on the eyes for sure. But
all right, but not as sexy as me. Let's just put it okay. You'd be a pretty broad, but let's be honest.
It would be. It would be a good tag team. We'd be a good tag team. We would go to clubs, stuff like that.
Oh, we'll do the girl code thing. Me and my sister got a system. We see a guy, and then she goes,
Yeah, this is what I want to hear. What is that one?
Well, my sister, my poor sister's going to be listening to this. Oh, God, don't give away the secrets.
What's the system?
Well, she sees a guy, and she'll just go, Ivana, I like him. And I'll be like, all right, I got this. So I got to trip him, because we got to cause bodily harm first.
That is probably the most funniest fucking thing that I've ever heard.
Wait, I learned that from my mother.
So wait. So the way you get a man
you
is
trip them.
Wait.
How else are they gonna fall for you?
First of all.
They gotta physically fall first.
Well, I wanted to get past the assault and battery charge possibly, but but I guess in Italian culture, hey, you get smacked, we love you.
Wait a minute. It's only assault and battery if you get caught and someone charges.
Talk like a true Italian.
Okay.
I like it.
There's no and then I just go, oh, I'm so sorry. And then you got my sister coming in like the hero. My sister, the klutz. Oh, my God.
Oh.
And comes in. It's like, are you okay, sir? What's your name? Can I help you?
I think...
and then I kind of fade out.
Yeah.
And she goes in, she makes a move.
You know, we're living in an age where you necessarily don't have to do that anymore. I mean, a simple DM is fine. You don't have to put yourself in questionable situations with law enforcement. Just my opinion. But
I don't do that like Tinder.
You like hard to get. You like to do hard to get.
Yeah, I am hard to get.
You like a hard to get.
I don't do those dating sites. I like the old-fashioned way. You trip them.
Yeah, you hurt them.
Yes.
Yeah, see how tough they are. You know.
Oh, they're never tough. Wait a minute.
That's hilarious.
I hope some of my exes heard that.
I think I need to. Well, wow. I learned so much so far. What I need to do right away is update my Tinder profile because I thought I was like what I was. Yeah, I never got tripped before. I need to get tripped. That is interesting. Have you ever held? You ever did the Bronx Tale thing? Like held the door for the guy when they get in the car? Because I wanted to ask like an Italian woman that. Like,
I did.
Is that a thing?
Wait, I did go out with a guy.
I am waiting. I'm here. I want to hear it. I'm not going nowhere.
Where you going? It's your podcast. There was a guy.
Right.
Handsome as anything. Nice Italian guy I was going out with.
Nice.
I get in his truck. And he comes in the door and he goes, get out. And I go, what do you mean get out? And he goes, I door test you. You didn't unlock the thing.
He did the Bronx Tale test.
Yes, he did the door test. And I was like, oh my God, I was door test. I was like, oh my God, how do you react to failing the door test?
Did you trip him?
Goes,
should have tripped that fucker after that.
He was sitting down otherwise. And then he did drive me home. I didn't have to get out. He was a nice gentleman. But he door tested me, and he never called me back. So, I mean, there's a thing to this.
Yeah. I would have, you know what I would have done? I wouldn't have called you out then. I would have just like gone on a date, and then I would have been like, well, let's, like, that's the thing. I don't know. You're like the dating thing. Well, we don't have to get into dating stuff because the whole dating thing now is like very interesting to me because I feel like, especially people your age, and I'm going to say this respectively, right? I'm a little old school.
So am I.
I'm a little old school. But, and I do understand the way the world is now, right? There's so many people now, social media, people like Tindering, Bumbling, DMing, whatever. I'm like an in-person type of person. I like to know who you are. I'm like an energy. I can feel your energy.
Well, that's it. That's why I gotta meet them in person and personally trip them myself.
That's right.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's just not worth it.
Yeah. So your test is like, I gotta see if you're a pussy or not. That's the first thing to protect me. Like I gotta make sure.
I mean, if they trip and they fall, like they're gonna just lie there. I don't want them after that. It's just walk away.
Yeah.
Maybe I didn't trip him. Maybe he just fell. Who really knows?
That's funny. That is so funny.
Oh my God! I gave these secrets away. Now I got to come up with a new tactic.
Yeah,
you got to punch him now.
Just like comedy material, you know. It's like sometimes
Oh, you should hear some acts. I talk beyond my grandmother.
So when you say your grandma, I know you said you've been talking about your grandma. You brought up your grandmother a lot. Now, is it your mom's mom or
my mother's mother?
Your mother's mother, right?
Unfortunately, my father's mother passed away 3 years ago.
3 years, yeah. My grandmother passed last year. She was 97.
Wow, God bless her.
Yeah, she was 97. And my mom took care of her actually for 5 years. She was bedridden, so she was taking her full time. It took a lot of toll on my mom.
That's a lot. That's very high.
Yeah, we went through a lot. There's a lot of losses last year. I mean, this whole years with COVID and shit has been really shitty for a lot of people. But I think it's actually made a lot of people stronger too. But long story boring. Brett Nurse says that. I love when I say that. I can't quote that. Long story boring. Yeah, my grandmother passed too. But we still, man, like her spirit still like is with us, if that makes sense, right? Like, and grandmothers, like grandmama, like we don't, like now these days it's like people at your age, it's like they understand it or they don't. Like there's no middle, right? There's people who get it and there's like the ones who just don't, right? And I don't know, there's just like a lot of like crazy stuff that's happening with just like the way young people are doing the thing, and I'm just like, why are you doing this?
See, I'm like Sophia Petrillo in a young person's body.
Interesting.
Mentally, I'm like kind of old school.
Yeah.
But like I'm also like young.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, young is good too. I mean,
young is good too.
Well, young is. I mean, it's all relative. You know, it's all relative. I've met comedians who are like 19, 20, way more mature than like 50-year-old comedians that I know. You know.
I never said I was mature.
Yeah, I never said that either.
I never said that. Wait a minute. If you see what I do around my house, okay?
So what is a typical, I guess, when you do, so your style of comedy, how would you describe it?
It's like, I like to say that I have my own, like, I don't want to say it's like Ray Romano. I don't want to say it's Fran Drescher, but I do want to say it is, like, I hate using the phrase I keep saying all the time. It is old school. It is, like, from the heart, and I'm speaking, like, when I'm talking about who I am as a comic, because that's what I had to do first. I had to figure out who is my stage character. Who am I? And that's what I want to bring to the stage. So I had to kind of discover, it's like, what is it that I know I could talk about? And I could talk about, well, my crazy, stereotypical Italian household.
What you know.
Yeah, that's what I know.
What you know. That transcends a lot more. Like, another thing, too, when I noticed you when you were doing stand-up, is you are authentic. Oh. You feel what I'm saying? You are who you are. And you can't teach that. Like, you can't teach that. It's like, it's either you are or you're not. Because you can tell, like, this, we call them fucking hacks. You know what I mean? That's what I'm gonna be like straight up, and I don't really swear a lot, but I have to call it sometimes what it is. It's like these people who come up there and they talk about yogurt and pizza and they act like it's all. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're making me hungry, and you're like, I even do my hands like this. You're making me, because we talk like that too. When we talk with our hands, my culture, we talk with our hands a lot. So it's like,
listen, if you put handcuffs on me right now, I'd shut up. Okay.
Hey, we know the rules.
I can't. I do this every day, and
I do it a lot.
I just don't even notice it.
Me too. We talk with our hands too. It's just a thing. But back to the authentic thing, I think it's like so cool to see someone who starts and who already kind of are like seems like, I mean, we all grow, we all change, right? We all evolve, right? Through experiences and through through our performance and through our relationships with certain people. There's highs, there's lows, but at the very, very core of it, I feel like at least we have value. Like we know what boundaries we are.
We all kind of know who we are. We know what, and even in some degree, we all know what we want.
Yeah.
It's just hard discovering how to bring that out of you.
Yes.
And that's why, for comedy, I always, worried, oh, maybe I'm just talking about my family too much. Maybe I'm just talking, I don't want to be, I don't want to be corny. I don't want to be this.
For
but
real.
It's like,
I feel you.
No, I am stereotypical Italian. I did grow up in the North End, and these stories actually happen. This is who I am.
Yeah. And you should be unapologetic about it.
No, well, some people are not going to like me, and that's fine. Some people, comedy hits everybody different, you know?
That's true.
And some people are gonna love me. There's been times that they really love me, and then there's been times that
doesn't.
Yeah, I learned to kind of honestly through
tough skin. You got tough skin.
Exactly.
Family.
Yeah.
See, that's something.
They taught me how to really
have tough skin, right?
Yeah, I got that from my family. I got that from growing up, all my life experience. I got a tough skin.
Yeah. You can't really avoid like that, right? You can't avoid obstacles in life, right?
Yeah, but you can react you can control you. You can't control your environment, but you can control how you react to it. So, I get criticism here and there. Some's valid, some's not. You go to that old school Italian side, just let it roll off your head.
Yeah.
I sleep better at night.
Yeah, that's good. I think that your I guess your approach to that mentality is like very good, because it's like it will make the journey of stand-up comedy a lot more easy to deal with.
Plus, if you worry, you get wrinkles, and who wants that?
Hey, listen, we got a lot of olive oil,
Yeah,
take care of that. A lot of extra virgin olive oil takes care of it. I have no wrinkles, and I'm in my 40s.
You don't even look like you're in your 40s. I don't believe it.
Talk to me nice, girl. Talk to me nice. No, I do. Yeah, I don't. It just, obviously a lot of it has to do with, whatever, maybe genetics or whatever. But I try not to stress. I try not to stress, because I stressed a lot for many years. And I don't want to go back to that, so I'm like, no, wrinkles, but I just kind of I like to laugh a lot. I like to kind of I like to be calm in situations, and just kind of take things as they come, right? Compartmentalize them as they come.
That's like how I like to live. It's like life's gonna throw you curveballs. Even as another thing about me, before the med, you perked up, relax.
Yeah, no, I want to know. Yeah, I said relax. They relax there, relax, paisan. Hey.
I'm getting to the story. You perked right up. What'd you have, an espresso? Relax.
I'm about to have like 3.
Oh, I had 3. It feels like nothing.
We'll talk about the right way to make an espresso before we leave this podcast too. By the way,
there's only one right way.
I know there is. There's always, when Italians, there's only one way.
Yes, and it's the woman's way, because we're always right. Just saying.
Hey, you said it, not me.
I'm just saying.
What were you saying about the?
So, before the pre-med thing, I actually wanted to be a pilot like my father. Of
course.
But at 17, so you have to get a pilot's license at 18, and at 17 I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and I couldn't pass an FAA physical, so I couldn't become a pilot. And it was like, to me, it was like I had one goal, and I didn't know what I wanted to do beyond that. And I had a good guidance counselor at AC who kind of guided me through that. And it was like life threw me a curveball. I never thought in my life I'd be diabetic.
Wow.
But I learned to live with it. I never thought I'd have to give myself shots or draw from a vial, and now I'm like, give me the insulin. Let's go. Double up on Sunday dinner. Gotta get the extra vials for the family.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
It's like life gives you curveballs, but I make diabetes jokes myself. Now I'm kind of, I was in a weird place then, but it's how what's very character defining is how you react to these things.
Of course.
And that's what kind of pushed me on that pre-med track, was mostly my diabetes, but
to help, or just maybe in that lane. And then what made you decide not to do it anymore?
I think I knew a long time ago I didn't want to do it, but I kind of felt like I would be letting my family down. I felt like I'd be letting everybody down around me who's helped me get to that spot. And so, but when I got to the actual application, I took an MCAT. I got to the actual application. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't see myself, and in that, I couldn't do it. And it's like, I did say that to my family, and they were very supportive. Honestly, they knew it too, but it was more me. It was more like I didn't know how they'd react, but I should have known, because they've always supported me through everything I wanted to do.
Man, that's. I want to.
Do I need to hug you?
I really want to fucking move in your house. Like, honestly, I want to be part of the family. One more, right? I'm a good cleaner. You will never have to,
Well, she wants grandkids. You'll compensate.
Yeah, well, yeah. I'll be honest with you, it's very. Trying to be respectful here.
Oh boy! I want to wait. Turn it up.
Yeah. My parents did. If I told you what they had to go through to come here, you'd probably be like, "What the fuck?" We fled war to come here. Civil war. Real war, not this fucking shit that people are talking about. Oh yeah, there's gonna be civil war because people the fuck out of here.
You mean Twitter war?
Yeah. I'm talking about real war.
Yeah.
Like, dead bodies.
Oh.
You know? Real shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so they always instilled in us as growing up as like, hey, you got to be appreciative of things, you know?
Yeah.
And you have to, you know, because there's people that really don't have things, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, everybody has stories. Everyone has struggles, you know what I mean? But the thing is with my parents is like, they never really kind of, because their first like a thing that the only thing that was on their mind was to survive. They had the survival mentality. So like the nurturing part and like the supportive part was like kind of was like not, they just weren't good at it. Not because they couldn't do it, they weren't taught it because they had to like just survive. They had to get kids early. I think my mom had it was like 17, 18, something like that, or
wow.
you know,
sounds like my grandmother.
Yeah, old school. You know,
very young.
Yeah. So survival, you know, and so I always like to hear when like I don't want to say I get jealous, but I'm always like, oh man, like when you hear like, oh, parents, like my parents were supportive, like in things that I did do or things that I didn't do, I'm like, man, that's pretty dope, you know, and because it's like, and I don't know, sometimes I'm like, damn, I wish I kind of had that a little bit, but. Like you said, with your finding out that you know when you had diabetes, you are thrown things that's not something that you weren't prepared for.
It was like I thought I was just gonna graduate high school, go get a pilot license, become a pilot like my father, end of story. But life isn't like that, you know. My father always said, you know, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. And he's also another kind of inspiration to me because he to me, he's like the American dream. He immigrated from Italy, and my nonna, they immigrated from Italy, and he could have been, like my nonna at the time thought she just wanted him to work at a box factory because at the time she was so kind of afraid, you know, don't become a pilot. You're gonna fail. It's dangerous. She worried about him.
Like out of fear.
Yeah. She's like, I don't want you in the sky. What if you crash? What if she meant well. But he always had that passion in him, that dream. Like he started out just a kid who grew up at a small farm in Italy, and then in America he had various jobs. He worked in construction. He was a car mechanic. He worked in a bakery. But he always pursued that dream,
the passion.
Yeah, that one dream. It's like no one ever thought to be a pilot, especially, you know, you come from the town in Italy's from. They never thought of it, you know. Not to say the town in Italy sounds wonderful. I love going there. They're beautiful people, wonderful. Right. But you know, he had this kind of original dream where he said, this is what I want to do. And he lived in Florida for a while. He struggled. They didn't have, you know, they didn't have everything, especially my nonna. They didn't, it's not like they came from money. They didn't have anything.
Right.
They came to this country, they didn't even, they didn't have anything.
They had to, from the ground up, literally, like, you know.
They weren't even citizens. It wasn't an easy journey, but he kind of like rose above it. He knew he had a goal, he wanted to pursue it. So when I told him about comedy, and even like to this day when I kind of doubt myself, he always kind of pulls me back, that he reminds me that, you know, I can do it.
That's great.
And he's like a huge inspiration to me.
That's dope. That's really dope. And that's really good. That I'm really like happy to hear that, because, you know, it's good. You know, we need like those are good. I mean, I didn't get that. I mean,
but here you are.
Yeah, I'm wearing, as you can see, I'm a grown ass man wearing a Cupcakes t-shirt. You know, so. Well,
I kind of
shout out to Johnny Cupcakes, by the way. Holla at Johnny Cupcakes. But you know, but I don't know. I always like to hear those type of things. And one thing I think I heard this the other day. They said that there's a price for everything that you do.
Yeah.
There's a price for everything that you do. There's a price for going after your dream. There's a price actually not going after your dream, but it's never ever gonna be bigger than the price of regret of never going after it.
Well, my father always said if it were easy, everybody'd do it, right? Mm-hmm. So he's always in my corner, and even like when I was little, if I wanted to, he was like the personality I have today is shaped by my parents, honest to God, because he you know, he took me to see a Star Trek movie. He'd explain science to me. He kind of sparked my interest in things. He made me passionate about stuff, and he made me feel like anything was possible.
Yeah.
Like if he was working on something and I'd ask, oh, how does this work? Where do babies come from? He'd pull out the science book and he'd teach me. It was always like everything's on the table.
Everything's on the table.
All cards on the table. He never lied, never covered up, and always took the time to explain things to me, even when he was overseas.
Listen, I remember my dad, because he didn't want to tell me the truth, because it was one time I saw my dad, there was a picture of him back in Africa on like a moped, and he had a cigarette. This is how parents would protect you by lying. I saw this fucker. I'm sorry, my dad. But there's a evidence picture of him with an afro in the late 70s, maybe early 80s, on a moped. It's my dad. I go, Dad, you smoked cigarettes? He goes, that's not me.
That's not me.
I'm like, Dad, that's literally you. She's like, no, that's not me. I was like, so who is it? He's like, that's my twin brother. We left him back in Africa when we came here. I said, are you shitting me right now? That's you don't want to tell me you smoke cigarettes. That's how much they wanted to protect us. That they would lie on who they were in the picture. From then I was like, I can't believe anything he says. I never believed anything he says. Also, there was one time too where my dad was kind of like your dad in a weird way. He's like, listen, if you got to learn the hard way. My dad was a tough love type of dude. Yeah. There was no, listen, he's like, my dad, there was one time I asked my dad, hey Dad, you want to go out for coffee? He's like, what? You're 33. Why I want to go? Because it's like, why? I want you to get a job. I got no time to go coffee with you. It was like tough love type thing, right? And then he goes, I remember as a kid, there was a beer, Heineken beer. I was like maybe 9, and I was bothering for a sip. And he's like, no. And my mom was sitting on the couch, and he goes, I was like, Dad, can I get a sip? He's like, you know what? You keep bothering me. Here's a sip. My mom had a fit. She's like, don't you give him a sip of that Heineken. He's like, no, he keeps bothering me. He's going to learn. He's either going to love it and become an alcoholic or
he's gonna, wait a minute. He was taking a 50-50 shot here in the dark, being like, maybe he'll hate it.
Yeah, he took that 50. Oh, my dad was a huge 50-50 guy. As long as the 50-50 chance was away from him, he didn't take ownership of it. He's like, hey, listen, he's either going to like it or he's not. I took a sip of it. I hated it. I'm not even gonna drink it to this day. I have occasionally, but I've never been like. And my mom was like, he's like, no, he learned. So at 9 years old, but that's old school. You can't give a kid a Heineken bottle now. 9 years old.
Wow. We used.
Maybe at my house, new house that I'm coming to later.
The new house. Come on in. We actually make wine in my basement.
I'm the goddamn right you do.
We do, and my father's like, here, have a sip. And I'm like, no, it's bad. I was a kid. And he's like, that's like a sip.
Yeah, a little sip.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little of that. Yeah.
And I hated it. And to this day, ask my mother. I don't drink, but when I do, right. I have a sip and I'm gone. I get drama cheap date, okay?
Yeah. Hey, listen.
Sometimes I'm on a date and the guy's like, oh, what would you have to drink? And I just go, water.
Right.
Coke.
I will leave. I do want to know this though.
Oh boy.
Okay, before we leave, okay. If I was going on a date, hypothetically, with a nice Italian woman, what type of red wine do I bring to her on the first date?
You bring whatever you say your grandfather makes in the basement, and if she's a real Italian girl, she'll say, oh, I got my family's in the basement too. Oh my God. She'll do. That's what you say. And wait. You have to say that you got the grapes at a bargain. That's how you win her heart. You got a bargain grape. Okay? You never pay sticker. That's what my mother taught me. I'll be going through TJ's and she'll be like, you see this? We're going to hide it in the men's department till it's on sale. And we'll be back. And it's always there. Never pay retail.
Oh, man. Is there an Italian Bumble out there? Italian woman?
What do we call Bumbola?
Bumbola. It's called Trip.
Like TripAdvisor? Am I going to Italy? Wait.
Watch out, Ivana. Coming to a city near you. If you don't come, she'll find you and trip your ass.
Only if you're cute.
Ivana, I really appreciate this. It was very fun.
Oh, I'll come back.
Yeah. Oh no, trust me, you're coming back.
Podcast of our own.
Yeah. Listen, we got some plans for you, Ivana.
Wait, am I auditioning for this role? I want to be an actor.
Listen, I'll be honest with you. You probably won't get anything from this podcast.
Well, I had a good time.
But you had a good time.
I had a good time.
Hopefully, yeah.
I laughed.
And we got, and we got to know each other a little bit, and that's what I feel like. Kind of, I'll leave the episode like this. I think that's one of the things I feel like is very important. That's needed right now, to a degree. Actually, to a big degree. Forget about little degree. Just people just need to have start getting to know each other and having conversations with people, especially with the world now. If you don't know somebody, have a conversation with them.
Right.
They could be cool.
They could be full of shit.
Yeah. Listen, 50-50.
50-50.
Yo, Ivana, you're the shit. Yeah, I appreciate you for coming on. Before we go, though, can you plug your social media and also any shows you have coming up where people can find you?
So I don't have a date for this yet, but I know I do a show in the North End at Asagio's, and I have one in Abington coming up. I also have a couple in Rhode Island coming up in September and November.
Okay.
My social media, that's important, though.
Yeah.
TikTok, Instagram, same tag. It's at Bonetti, BONETTI, _Ivana, IVANA.
Nice.
There you go.
There you go.
Because what's better than my name? I'm the marvelous Mrs. Marinara here, okay?
I don't know how the fuck I'm gonna beat that. The marvelous what? That was
smooth.
That was.
Thank you.
It made it.
A friend of mine gave me that name, and I loved it. I was calling myself Joe Pesci in a skirt, and that was it. Wow. And then he goes, "Hey, marvelous Mrs. Marinara, get over here, tell me a joke." And I'd be like, "What? That name? It's spectacular. Oh my God, I'm the marvelous Mrs. Marinara."
Oh my God. Yo. I'm so hungry. Like when you started saying it, I was thinking about marinara sauce.
But see, there's I gotta ask you a question now. This is your interview. Hold on.
Sure.
Do you say it? I say marinara.
Right.
Please tell me you have never said marinara.
Fuck no.
Thank you.
No, I was raised right. What are you talking about?
Thank you.
I was raised by Italians. What are you going on? I was marinara. What do you thought you could? No.
Marinara.
Marinara. No,
marinara.
Now, first of all, we say sauce.
Thank you. It's a
gravy.
sauce.
Gravy.
Whoa. There's a difference. There's a Sunday
okay, I got a little ahead of myself, right? Listen, I got the Italian bug. I started going crazy. I'm sorry.
You got ahead of It's a Sunday gravy. Only on Sunday. Every other day of the week, it's a sauce.
Oh, listen, I every day for me is gravy. You see this body? I be eating like crazy.
No. Gravy's the thing you shove in the turkey's ass. You don't do that. No, we have class.
I mean, if I don't leave on a podcast on that, I have to get out of here. Yeah. I'm going to leave you guys with this. Hey, guys, thank you for following me at Chase Abel, ChaseAbel. Follow me everywhere. Podcast, YouTube, Spotify, and I don't know, wherever you Cut to the Chase podcast, you can find me. Thank you again, Ivana. Until next time, guys, this is Cut to the Chase. We out. Peace.